I'm so grateful that all of you are here, and let's answer your burning questions, shall we? Do you plan on creating a Discord server to exchange with your community? Imagine I'm a lamp right now because your wish is my command. I mean, within reason, of course, but any request that has anything to do with talking to all of you more often, of course. So I am very proud of having figured out what sort of channels I want on my Discord. I have asked my friend Paulina. She was a huge help. She literally set up everything. I just asked her to format it the way that I wanted to, and I'm very proud of this idea, so I hope you will join. By the time I share this video, I would have probably already shared the link. So how it works is that there are several main channels, I guess they're called, and the sole aim of my Discord is to communicate with you and to introduce you to more reader friends so that we can build a community of book lovers. There's a huge channel which has a community tab, and you can arrange for people to have buddy reads. So if you have a book that you want to read and somebody else has that book, you can read it together. There's a page just discussing books that you've read recently, like what you're currently doing, your life. And that's not all. There's also a book club and a channel for reading sprints. So how it works is you can have your camera on or off as you wish, but your mic must be off, and you can just read and you can watch and know that other people are reading too. So it's support, and you can motivate yourself to read more. And well, obviously the book club is as normal, but I do want to hear your input so we can decide on the books together. However, I am also working on setting up a buy me a coffee account so that if you pay extra money, then you can choose the book club pig yourself. But obviously I will moderate it to make sure that it's not something that can be very offensive to a lot of people. What do you do for a living, or are you a student? And also the question after this is, what are your future plans? So I'll answer both of them together. Yes, I am a student. I am finishing year 11. I am doing my GCSEs, so this is why I had a lot of GCSE videos. How the UK system works is that there are actually 13 years of school, and the last 2 years are called sixth form. And I was utterly shocked because I got into the sixth form college of my dreams, the program, and actually I got into both schools that I wanted to go, both my first choice and my second choice. And so now I'm planning on going to the UK to finish school, and then hopefully to UK universities as well. And I am waiting for my visa to get approved right now, and honestly by the time they approve it, it will be August. In Russia, monetization features are currently disabled. However, if I do manage to get to the UK, hopefully, I will make some money off of YouTube. So that's another passive income stream in order to answer the how do you make your living question. And also I do tutoring sometimes, so I do make a little bit money off of that. I will be using the money to obviously support living by myself in a boarding school without my parents, and to buy more books because I cannot go without buying more books. So yeah, I don't really have a steady income because I'm still a student, and also there are more laws for child protection in Russia, so I can't really get a job. But yeah, I really do enjoy YouTube. It's more than just a job, although the extra money is of course helpful. And am I planning on continuing doing YouTube after this? The question that nobody asked, but yeah, it is in my future plans because I just really enjoy the process. So that's my plan for the next 2 years. However, I am a very big planner. I love planning so much, so I do have more plans after that. Like I said, I want to go to a UK university, and I want to pursue law and also get a PhD in literature because I love reading and analyzing and writing essays. I love the entire process of reading so much, and I really want to dedicate myself to academia just because it has reading in it. So that's definitely something I want to pursue as well. That's the plan. I want to learn UK law, Russian law, and also hopefully French law, so then I can just travel around these 3 countries. Do you want to travel to any place? So I want to travel around Europe, and I also want to travel around the exotic places in Russia. What do I mean by exotic? Well, Russia is a huge country, and it's more than just Moscow. It has all these mountainous ranges and lakes, and I'm so ashamed that I've literally never traveled outside of Moscow except for St. Petersburg. So I want to see more of Russia, and of course more of Europe. Out of Asia, I want to go back to Korea for a little while, not to mention work on my Korean, just as well as familiarize myself with my own culture because this is my ethnicity, my heritage. And I also want to go to Japan and China. about the rest of Asia, I am not sure I really want to go to, for example, India, because I can't really handle hot climates very well. However, if it's in the winter, sign me up, because I think the culture is very fascinating. I don't want to be limited just by my like comfort zone, but when it gets beyond 30 degrees, I can't do anything. So I think I'm a bit limited in that regard as well. Obviously, to do all this, I need to save up some money. So I'm thinking that by the time I actually get traveling, it will be in my 20s, but it'll give me a chance to look forward to it more, right? What language are you learning? I am so glad you asked, because this is one of my very big hobbies. Along with reading, learning languages is like the thing that I'm very passionate about. So I speak fluent Russian and fluent English. I am learning French. I recently passed my Delph B2 exam, which means that I can go to French university if I want to, because my level is good enough for it. And I also recently passed my topic Korean third GIP exam level. I don't know how to really translate it, but most universities also require either the third level or the fourth level, and for like higher courses they require the fifth level, and there's 6 levels in total. So I passed that. I was very happy. To be honest, I didn't really expect to pass, so I was pleased. And yeah, and I am also learning Latin. I am not very good with grammar, so Latin is one of the hardest subjects for me. And I'm also thinking of starting to learn Chinese soon. And I know it's a lot, but this is just something that I really, really enjoy doing. So even though it's a lot of extra work and extra effort, I just enjoy doing it. And I also like the idea of talking to people like in their own native language, because I think it shows them that you care about their culture, and it's just a nice thing to do. So yeah, if any of you are learning this language, I'd love to be language buddies, so do reach out to me over the Discord or over Instagram or over YouTube, literally anywhere you want, and let's be language buddies. We can hold each other accountable to make sure we did that grammar practice, that vocabulary practice. Also links into the next question about hobbies. So I also like to play tennis along with all of this. I have been playing tennis for 9 years, and I also have a green/blue belt in Aikido, but I did stop doing it a while ago simply because I felt like I had like no need to go on further, because it was taking up a lot of my time, and I thought that since I got to a high enough level, I can just continue pursuing other things. However, I am very passionate about tennis, and I want to hopefully play for a university team, so that's what I have been doing with tennis. In terms of more creative achievements, I like to play the piano. If you're interested about how good I am, because I know that's always the thing that people think about when you say that you play an instrument, I am ABRSM grade 5. I'm not sure that gives you anything. I'm not like incredible at piano, but I do enjoy doing it, so yeah. And out of other hobbies that don't link into like the more creative side, oh, I also like bullet journaling, but you know that already from the videos on my channel. I also like public speaking and debating. I participate in every single MUN that my school does. I was on the debating team when we actually had one before COVID started. So yeah, I enjoy all of this. So if any of this is your hobby too, let's talk about it. Let's connect. What's your favorite song or favorite artist? I love Angel. Absolutely obsessed with Angel. Out of K-pop, I like ITZY and I like Blackpink, but I listen to Blackpink probably the most. When I am in need of an energy boost, I always turn to Doja Cat or I turn to Willow. So these were the two that I've been recently listening to. I also like a Russian group called Dайте Tank. How's life in Russia nowadays? Sensitive question, but it's fine. Moscow is the same. It's far away from everything, but I do miss having foreign brands, and I know that's a very like pathetic thing to say compared to what people are going through, but just as a very human side, so we don't hit any more sensitive topics. I just miss the time when I could stuff myself on junk food from McDonald's, just like occasionally, or splurge on Starbucks, just, those casual things that you and your friends normally do. Yeah, it's very changed in that regard. But other than that, it's fine. And yeah, I hope everything will be fine as well. What's your comfort movie? Sorry, I know these last few answers have been brief, but I don't really know what else to answer to them. For the comfort movie, okay, I don't really have any comfort movies, but I like any that I specifically always know to rewatch, but I do like the first Legally Blonde. It always makes me laugh. I also like Deadpool. It's it's funny in a different sort of way, if you know what I mean. I love Wes Anderson. He is my favorite director. His movies are comfort movies only for the like arts appreciation person inside of me. I love the color palette just so much. But I am also very sentimental when it comes to his movies. I cry like so much. I cried probably at every single movie of his that I watched. So is it the best comfort movie in every situation? Not necessarily. And I also like, I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly. I think it's called Dark Shadows, the one where the vampire returns from the dead and it's just his adventures in the modern world, because obviously the modern world is very different from the past. Do you have a comfort book? Okay, so here are my stats. I will display them here. They are dark, depressing, sad, and tense. But I guess I do have some comfort books I really love, I adore. I have been talking about this book so much. I'm guessing that you're sick of it. Italo Calvino's If on a Winter Night, a Traveler. This book for me, it's not only limited to winter. Any time that I feel in need of a solid adventure and of just a very romantic and uplifting story, this is the book that gives me serotonin. I will read this book anywhere. I can start at any point in this book and it will make me very happy. If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler is absolute postmodernist perfection, and I will never stop recommending it. And the other book is quite different. It's The Way by Swans. So you might know that this is the first book in the À la recherche du temps perdu of Proust's huge volume. The first book, The Way by Swans, it's a rumination on memory, and it's just so beautiful and so sentimental that I feel like this is my comfort book, because it's so easy to get lost in it and to distract yourself from all the problems of the world and read about this young boy who loves his mother so much, and about the camellias, and of course the Madeleine. These are the two books that I really adore. Favorite book of 2022 so far? This is probably the hardest question of the entire video so far, and I think it all comes down to 3 books. So The Way by Swans, Persepolis, and 1Q84. And if you know these, then you know that they're all very different. Persepolis is a graphic novel, and I usually don't like graphic novels, but this one, it stole my heart. It's about a young girl experiencing Iran under the Islamic Revolution, and she's just talking about how she doesn't really want to conform to the Taliban regime, and how she wants an education, and how she's dealing with the war around her and with the grief of her friends dying. And I think it's just a very beautiful coming of age story, because it tackles a lot of mature themes, but it also seems relatable to every single teenager, because some of her thoughts, the author addresses all of this, even these dark topics, in a very humorous way. It really makes you want to read it again and again. I've also talked about 1Q84 before. Notice the trend about how much I talk about my favorite books, but I just love them so much. I hold them very dear to my heart. Murakami is not for everyone. It's always a bit hit or miss, but 1Q84, it absolutely enthralls you in its wake. You get so lost in these phantasmagorical and fantastical elements, the world building, the characters, even all the, the slightly sexual, psychoanalytical stuff. All of this, you just take it in its wake. You look at this text in front of you. I mean, after you put it down, because you can't think about anything else other than the story when you're reading it, and you think vastness of the imagination that the book possesses. So I know I said 3 books, but then how do you expect me to choose one favorite book when I literally chose 21 from 2021? Your page is so informative. How do you find the time to gather it all? Wow, this is such a nice question. Thank you. So I already mentioned that I plan everything. I really like to plan, and I have several tips for this. I hope they will help, but I plan in advance, and not only in terms of, okay, I want to write this post on this specific day, but I plan knowing my time and my schedule. So for example, I know that I have an exam next week, and this week I don't have an exam. So even if I'm preparing for next week's exam, I will also be preparing a post this week rather than during my exam period. And how it works is that sometimes you're driven by mood. You don't really want to make a specific post. So what I'll usually do is, when I'm motivated to do the research, I'll do the research one day, the next day I'll organize the research, and the third day, when I'm feeling creative, I'll make a very nice infographic. That's my workflow process. Basically try and prioritize, and although I have a feed. So although this limits creativity, in a way it also helps guide me a little bit when I'm taking photos, also usually in advance, because if I'm thinking about the content, I also have to think about the actual photo itself. It guides me in the regard that I know that I can't like take a photo of something neon yellow, for example, and I just know when I take photos to think in advance, and that also helps with saving time rather than taking a lot of pictures and realizing that you have to get rid of half of them and then redoing it. Also stopped doing this thing that I was doing before, and I know a lot of people do. When you say, I will do the work at 3, then it's 3:01 and you're like, okay, I will do the work at 3:30. It's 3:35, you're like, what's the point of starting now? You started 4. That procrastinate stuff, even if it's not a nice round number, start. Like, other than all of this, I think that you should work on anticipating your needs and finding a system that works for you. So this is something that works for me. I know for a fact that I need my iPad and I need my phone to do the work. I'll do the research on my iPad and I'll like make the post on my phone just because I find it easier. And yeah, so if I know that I will need this, I set it at a separate place where I know that I will use it in advance. I also know that sometimes I'm too tired, but I have to make the post, and I also really want to make the post. It's just that I'm a bit tired and I can't really bring myself to summon the energy. So I will leave it on my bed. And if I'm too tired, then I will just lie on my bed and do the work. And if I have enough energy, I will go to my desk, and either way I will pass my bed, so I can just take it, and it's a win-win situation. And I know people usually say that you need separate spaces, so one for work and one for sleep. But if you don't have problems sleeping, and I don't have a problem with working on my bed, then I would suggest you just do it, because it's better to get something done in a less than ideal position than to not get it done at all. And speaking of that, sometimes I also like to do things in the car if I'm feeling motivated, because all I need is my phone, and you should just know what works for you. So if you travel around a lot and you know that you can listen to things, well, then you can just do the research, find a good podcast and listen to it while you work. And it's even better if you combine things that you do to save time. So for example, I like language learning. Well, maybe you can do the research in French, or maybe you can listen to the podcast in French, or maybe you can just have French music in the background as you work. So there's a lot there too. What's your favorite author and what got you into reading? Okay, so I'll start with the bookworm becoming journey. I can't stress just how important it is to have people around you who read. As a kid, when I was 6, I walked into my parents' bedroom and I saw that my mom had a copy of Harry Potter on her nightstand, and I took it and I read it. Now, if you read the Russian translation, you know that it's dark. Like, it's way scarier than the English original. Oh my god, I couldn't stand in dark hallways for a week. I was terrified. But I continued reading because it was just a really good book. And from then on, I think that this was the turning point for me to start actively choosing my own literature, to see what interests me, to see what challenges me. Before that, I was always a kid who read a lot because my parents read to me. I was so lucky and so privileged to have a lot of people who could read to me, and to also have the actual financial abilities to have a lot of books, to have the books that I wanted to have. I mean, I've been reading a lot since childhood, mostly picture books, also the Golden Key series. I love that. The one about the Floppy the dog and how he goes on an adventure with his friends. That was cute. Yeah. But it was Harry Potter that was the turning point for me to really start reading what I want to read, and to start reading more and to be completely independent. And I think that as a parent, first of all, you should try and set an example for your kid when you read, so that they want to read too. Because I think that this is one of the greatest gifts that you can give. The gift to love reading, to have these fictional worlds, to have this fictional education as a second set of parents. I've always been reading beyond my age level simply because I read a lot. And my parents never really limited, so I could choose the dark stuff that I wanted to choose. And I think that's good because it allowed me to explore things and to challenge myself, even if I knew it was beyond my reading age. So I think that also helped a lot with maturity. I don't really have any favorite authors, so this question is a bit hard for me because I feel like I am more into specific books rather than people. There's only a few authors that I've read all of their works, and I want to highlight those authors in particular since that is the question. First, Donna Tartt. I cannot stress how breathtaking I find Donna Tartt's writing to be. You want to highlight every single sentence and just hold it in your heart forever. And The Secret History is probably my favorite because it got me into dark academia, and it really cemented my belief about how important academia is and the pursuit of knowledge, and how important it is to get an education. So another author is Murakami, whose books I also haven't read completely, but I do like him. I do consider him one of my favorites. And finally, the author I also want to highlight as someone I have read all of her books. It's Sally Rooney. Of course, I've talked about Sally Rooney before on my channel. There's just something so emotional and so deeply human in her work for me. I feel like this is me in a parallel universe. Like, there's just something that really makes me relate to it, like something raw, something that you can't really describe. What are some books that changed the way you think about the world? Yeah, exactly. I have to answer with the existential literature right now. I mean, Camus, The Stranger, of course. Waiting for Godot changed my life in the best possible way, and that's not something that you would expect. This is something that people usually say about fiction or self-help books. But Waiting for Godot, I started taking my life into my own hands. I was doing that before a lot. I am quite ambitious and I know exactly what I want. Well, I kind of know exactly what I want, but it's natural to have doubts, but I mostly know what I want to do. And Waiting for Godot just had me realizing that although life, I think the purpose of life is actually to find the purpose of life. I agree with that branch of philosophy, and Waiting for Godot really motivated me to make my own point in life, to do what I want. Feminist Works, I Am Malala, which just really made me realize my privilege in getting an education and made me also want to educate myself more, and not just in the whole school thing that is forced upon you, like math, even though I think math is useful and I do enjoy it, but in other directions such as history, and actually realizing how we can help people in poor communities and exploring that branch as well. It's an essay collection titled Not That Bad, curated by Roxane Gay. It's about victims of sexual assault, and it's their essays about how they feel after it, and it made me realize that we really need to offer more support to these people. And of course, all of this helped build my empathy immensely. A Brief History of Misogyny, it helped me understand how this views that people express sometimes, it goes way back, and this is why it's very hard to eradicate them. It also helps to understand the origins. I think it's a very useful book, and it's also very interesting in terms of history. There's a lot there that you can go down. You can go down a whole rabbit hole of research. I'm planning to reread it, so if anyone wants to, let's reach out over the buddy read. A memoir that I really admire is Also Educated, again with the theme of education, which I think is very important. It just showed me how strong human will can be, the courage that people can have to pursue an education, to be different from their family, to make their own path. And finally, this is something that I'm reading in bursts. It's called Surveillance Capitalism. This is a very academic book. It's quite hard. This is why I read it in bursts, because I don't always have the energy to do it, but perhaps I will commit myself more to it, so I will mark it as Goodreads so you can add it as well. It is all about how our data is being used in the modern world, and I think it just changed my outlook for the better, because it made me realize how all these things that you think are innocent and that are so great, like the internet, actually collect your data. And it just made me realize even more that I need to be careful about what I put out on the internet, and well, of course, helped with e-safety. Those were some books that changed my worldview. Please talk to me some more. If you have any more questions, don't be afraid to ask them. And please add me on Discord, because I think it will be a lot of fun. So thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you again for 1K, and see you next week.